Scarlet Raven, it has been an absolute pleasure. We were just chatting about the VRChat Awards. I want to know, how was it? What was it like?
Same as it was last year. Honestly, it felt like I was getting my GED or getting my high school diploma because we all stood in line.
Really?
Yeah, then you stand in line in alphabetical order, and then you go up to the stage. And this is what it felt like, or you go to your assigned seats, and then you wait when you're called. I mean, yeah, I had socks again, do my dress. I don't know if you got to see it. Did you get to see it?
I did, yeah. It was gorgeous. It was honestly gorgeous.
I just actually paid him for it today. And I paid a little too much, or in some people's opinion, too much, but like because it was a dear friend of mine, and they were able to put it together within a month, and it came out amazing. They deserve the amount. There was a lot of new faces. I was so happy to see. And out of curiosity, I went and looked, and I was like, how many people are under 20K? And it was half of the nominees. And I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of people were under 10K, so we had a lot more not newer, but like smaller content creators that were able to attend. That's freaking amazing. We saw, oh my gosh, GM, so sweet. I love her stuff. GM was there. BMO. He wasn't there. They weren't there at the event, but they were a part of the server like they did again. They did a community night. Unfortunately, I couldn't go because I was out of town. But it was hilarious, and it's fun. Oh my gosh, I'm having such a brain fart. So a while back, I thought about making trading cards for VRChat content creators. And I was like, you know what? Let me start off. And I made everyone in the VRChat TikTok Awards. I made everyone, including staff.
Nice.
Wait for your picture.
Ooh, yes, I gotta get it.
But I was so excited the day of, and I was like, when do I get to pass these out? When do I get to pass these out? I joined the time we were scheduled to, and I see it on the wall, and I'm like, I did that. Yay.
Yeah, you're just jumping up and down. You're super excited.
I was super excited, and then I started DMing everybody and sending them out individually because some of them, it was the first draft. But it's okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's super cool.
Let's see, I did most engaging and most positive. Shelby got most engaging, which congrats for them. Holy cow. Once again, he didn't come up with a speech.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It sounds like Shelby.
But he had a lot to say, and it hit home. Aya the Fox got most positive, and she's a sweet bean. Love her death. She deserved it. And what was even cooler is that last year we had just one person to sing during the halftime show. This time we had two.
Nice.
So we had someone open, and then we had someone during halftime. I think it was Victory was the first person. They also just recently got over being sick. Beautiful voice. Gorgeous. Everybody in the crowd, everybody in the chat, because I'm watching chat too, everybody was in tears. Because on the last song, it was, like, they wrote it. And then we had Naku, I believe that's their name for halftime again. With their little ghostly piano. And then that was beautiful.
That's awesome. Yeah, so from your first time to your second time, did you approach it differently at all? Were you having more fun this time? Like, what was it like from 1 to 2?
Well, I had too much going on in the back for me to enjoy it this time around. Because I was out of town for 2.5 weeks. And then as soon as I got back, I had the flu. And then my partner had to go to the hospital.
Yikes.
And then PMA. I had too much on my plate. So
you must have been a wreck coming in. You must have just been scatterbrained, barely showing up on the carpet like, okay, I'm over here.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, that's what it felt like. Another thing, too, is seeing a lot of those people wasn't a first for me again like it was last year. I've already gotten to know Nanako. I've already gotten to know Alex and their staff. I've become friends with some of them as well. And so I wasn't as nervous. So, and then it was really, Mama Scar was in Twitch chat.
Oh, no way!
She texted me the day before. She's like, hey, where's this stuff going to be at? And I was like, okay, Mom, you're going to have to make a Twitch account. She did, and I saw Mama Scar, and I'm like, Mom!
No, that's awesome. Your mom is amazing. I can't believe she's actually somebody who like watches my live streams and like hangs out with us. Like you have one of the coolest moms I know.
I love her to death. I want to try and see her tomorrow and bring her late Christmas gifts because of school and everything else. I haven't had a chance to give it to her.
Yeah, that's cool. I know we've talked about this, but I have a segment on my live streams with your mom. We have Ask Mama Scar, where like people come up and ask her for words of wisdom, and she just drops bar after bar on these people. She's a great time. I love your mom.
I know Spotted or Yo Bread. Keep changing their name. Was asking, he's like, where can we find your mom after the TikTok ban? And I'm like, I don't know, guys. I don't know if she wants to be known anymore.
Oh my gosh. She should start her own page.
I don't.
Have her own channel.
I mean, she could. She now has a Twitch, so she can be in my chat when I'm streaming.
That's so funny. My parents don't have any concept of what Twitch even is. They don't even know that that's a thing, let alone have an account on it.
It was hilarious. So Thanksgiving, I went and spent the time with my family. And my mom's super involved, and I was like, you know what? Let me talk to my dad about it. Let's get his take. I want to know the other. He was like, what? And I'm like, Dad, do you not realize that I have about 14K followers? I've made a community with 13,000 people. And he was like,
oh my gosh. Yeah, thanks, Pops. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's kind of weird though, because like, I don't know about you. You have this headset you put on, this world you get into. So many people know your name. People come up to you, oh my God, it's Scarlet Raven. Oh my God, it's Theo. And like, you're like almost like a micro celebrity in some sense. You take off the headset and then you're just like in your normal day-to-day life. Everyone treats you the way they normally do. My friends rag on me all the time. They always treat me like shit. But like, that's just part of the deal. Like, is that weird for you at all that you have almost like these two very distinct different lives?
Not really. I mean, technically that's how I prefer it. If everyone, and this is on me because I use my voice and I act how I normally act without the headset in VR. But if anyone met me outside of the game that knew Scarlet Raven, I would freak out a little bit because I want to keep that separate.
Yeah.
I want that separation. God, not even some like IRL friends know what I do. They just know that I'm gaming. When my mom, my sister, my brother know, but that's about it.
So none of your friends know. Like, you haven't told your friends. You've kept that completely separate.
No.
Why is that?
No, that's a hard one. Because this can either be a good thing or a bad thing. Because the type of career that I'm wanting, they do extensive background. I don't know if I want them to find Scarlet Raven. If they do, it's okay. Because I don't do anything bad on the internet.
Yeah. You're a very good personality.
It's gonna be one of those things I'm gonna get ridiculed for having an anime persona.
Yep.
And then like another thing too is with my college classes, and I'm doing more and more field work. So I'm in wildlife biology. I don't know if I want any of those wildlife nerds to know what I do, because they wouldn't understand. Like in one of my classes, we are having to do some programming or learning how to do some programming. Again, this is all a bunch of wildlife biologists or wanting to be wildlife. They don't understand programming. I know programming, so this is easy for me, and I'm like, wow.
So completely different world.
Yeah, I don't know if they would understand what I do outside.
That's totally fair. My IRL friends kind of know now, because like, you can only keep a secret like that, at least for me, for so long. They're like, where are you? Why aren't you hanging out? It's Friday night. What are you doing? And I can't be like, oh, I'm changing my tire every Friday. You know what I mean? So eventually the cat had to come out of the bag. They're like, hey, Theo, how come you never around? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm doing this thing. I do podcasts. Like, oh, you do podcasts, huh? Oh, yeah. What kind of podcast do you do? And so, like, eventually they, like, found my account, and they're like, they make fun of me for it, but I'm taking it in the sense that they're just jealous because they don't have all this going on. And some of them are even like, hey, yeah, oh, it's so stupid how you have a podcast. What type of VR headset do you have? Yeah, what games are you playing? Oh, yeah, what kind of trackers you got? You know what I mean?
Now that I think about it, my friends don't know that I do this, but my partner's friends do.
Oh, how have they responded?
One of them is already wanting to get into VR, but they don't pay attention to TikTok. Another one, oh my gosh, it was so weird. I join my partner's friends all the time, and I talk to him. I try to interact with his friends as much as he interacts with mine. And so I just remember one night I'm doing homework, and they're watching TikToks together. Like they would take turns showing it. And so, of course, on my partner, he's another big supporter of mine. My videos pop up. He's like, oh, what's that? And I'm like, oh no. And that happened like a couple weeks ago, right? I didn't think anything of it. I did a live stream, my most recent live stream. Some random person offered me $500. I was like, I don't want your money. And then I get a text message from my partner who I know is at work. And he's like, why didn't you take the $500? And I'm like, how did you know? You weren't in my chat. And he's like, oh, my friend told me. He was watching your stream. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
Damn it.
No! They're in the stream.
And I think this was just one where I was in a good mood and I was like dancing and singing and stuff. So I'm acting like a complete weirdo. Yeah. And I'm like, bro,
And you're going to do that. You're on camera, you're trying to be entertained, and you're out there having fun, and now everything you do is going to be on their radar, and you're just like, oh my God. Oh no.
Yep. And I'm over here like, my stuff's probably really cringy because I post some positivity stuff, I post some mental health stuff, like,
Right.
I'm gonna get back and like, you're cringy. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, appreciate that. But despite that, one thing that like calms my nerves with the whole idea of, oh, you're just posting like cringy stuff is like, we actually out here doing some of the best work you could do in life. Like, if you think about it, like, what is going to be valuable to you later on? Is it the millionth fart joke you're going to see on TikTok? Is it any of the absolute crude humor that you're going to see in a 6-second video? Like, the kind of content that you and I produce has a deeper meaning than a lot of the nonsense, a lot of the doom scroll that seems to capture a lot of people these days.
Oh yeah, for sure. A series that I'm trying to put together, and you probably saw my anti-me, or Ashen Crow is what I call her, is I'm trying to put out there that everyone has a good and a bad side. Everyone has good thoughts. So that's Scarlet, where she comes in. And then everyone has those intrusive thoughts, those negative thoughts, which is Ashen Crow in this case. And I'm wanting to put it out there, like, it's okay. Everyone has it. Like, another thing is, like, mental health. That's extremely important. I want to put out there that everyone has bad feelings, or everyone feels sad. And so you're not alone like you think you are. And then, like, I put out a positivity video, me being cute, or, like, something, and it brings a smile to their face. I know it does. I see it in my comments. Or what was it? Another one that I just recorded on a whim because it was hilarious. I recorded a video of me destroying a town because I was Godzilla.
Nice.
But it was a clip that I took from playing Fortnite, something that I do that makes them laugh all the time. I was like, you know what? Let me record this and put it out, and hopefully somebody will laugh. Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about spreading that kind of positivity. I think that stuff is great. And I kind of want to touch on some of that. I feel lately that, like, I'm being called to have my content be more spiritual stuff. I really feel like as we go through our day-to-days, the spirituality of mankind isn't talked about enough. It's polluted by things like politics and stress and drama. And, like, people don't often explore what they believe and what they think. And, you know, Scarlet Raven, I'd kind of like to get your take on that. Like, do you have any spirituality? Do you believe in anything better?
I mean, I've always thought that there was something else out there other than us. We didn't just existed, kind of thing. I was born a Christian. I went to church when I was younger. I don't anymore. Do I believe in Jesus and God and all that stuff? To an extent. But since I've become an adult, I've been able to see everybody else's religion and, like, what they believe and all their stuff. And it's all weird. Because I want to, like, I accept all of it. I really do. And so that brings me into, do you know what Wicca is?
No, tell me about it.
This one's hard because I haven't looked at the book in a hot minute. But some people think it's like witchcraft, which is not. Wicca is a pagan religion, if I remember correctly. I might be entirely incorrect. But they believe in, technically, two holy beings. And then everyone else's gods and goddesses and stuff like that are underneath those, not underneath, but, like, they're all pieces of those two beings. And those two beings is, like, the sun and the moon. So I like it's more earthy stuff. You put herbs and certain ingredients to do certain things. You, like, the stones and stuff, fragrances. A lot of that stuff can be used, like, spiritual, but nowadays it's more, like, scientific, especially with the fragrances. It can put you in a certain mood. It's a weird take because I collect crystals. I sleep. It's a petrified wood that I sleep underneath my pillow, and petrified wood, if I remember correctly, links you to your ancestors. And I normally have it around this time because my grandmother passed away back in 2016, in December. And so when I'm wanting to be more connected with her, I put that in my pillow.
So,
and
okay.
Boy, do I cry.
That's a lot. That was not an answer I was expecting. I'm going to be honest with you. But
you might want to ask Alex more on it because she knows more stuff about it than I do.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I might be interested in that. I mean, any type of religion really interests me. So, like, just like you, I grew up Christian. But as I've grown up, I've come to see God, Jesus, and the Bible in a different perspective. It's like, I don't believe absolutely everything written in the Bible. I certainly don't believe they were scientists. How could they be, right? They were trying to solve a much bigger problem than, like, what is the world made of? They were trying to figure out how can we live together long enough so we don't tear each other to pieces. And the truths of the Bible, I think, are the bedrock of how human beings can get along without like resulting to war and tearing each other limb from limb. So when it says things like love your neighbor as yourself, put God above any other idol that might take away from like your life and the value that you could have in it, like I believe in that stuff wholeheartedly. Did God himself come down as a physical man to die on a cross? Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't there. But what I can say is there's so much deep-rooted symbolism in that story and the stories that surround it that those truths hold true to today. And if the Bible is anything, I think it's like a northern star on morality, and that we've lost so much of it because we haven't been listening to it. So just because the Bible isn't 100% doctrine, in my opinion, leaves the door open for all of these other religions to have very similar truths that are at the bedrock of what it means to be human. And I've loved exploring it. I've done a big deep dive into Eastern philosophy, Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, really seeing how a lot of those truths parallel with things that we grew up here with in the West. And it just goes to show me that, yeah, there's some hooey out there. There's some woo-woo dark stuff magic that doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of really good stuff to be drawn out of many religions across the board.
Mm-hmm. I really want to dive into like other religions because I just want to understand their stuff. Over my break, my partner's grandmother really, really wanted us to go to church. Now, it's a big whatever to me. I will respect her and everything, but also with how I grew up, my family was a bunch of Bible thumpers.
No boy.
Yeah. So we got looked down upon if we did anything wrong. Now, when I got into high school, I was dragged to church, but it was a Baptist church, and it was completely different from what I'm used to. It wasn't this is going to sound, I don't know how to phrase it correctly. Hick, you go to church, listen to that preacher, and then you're done, but you're all with your family kind of thing. I mean, I never, it was the first time I've experienced a youth group, but they were so welcoming. And we didn't get judged. We didn't get judged by the preacher or the pastor or anything like that. And I loved that. They were so open arms, and it was a small community. And like some of my Bible thumper families are very, unfortunately, they're racist as all get out. That was not the case here, and it was.
But yeah, something I kind of wanted to like ask you about was like, we were just talking about youth groups, and one thing I wanted to mention was that I grew up in a youth group, and it was some of the most positive experiences I've ever had in my entire life. Like, I've shaped the way I have friends around a youth group. My IRL friend group, the size of a football team, we got 55 plus people. Tonight, we're going to get together and have a karaoke and Super Smash Bros. Night. We do all of that kind of stuff. What?
Can I join?
Oh, absolutely. Come on. Let's go. But like, I've modeled it after the time that I've experienced in a youth group. Theo's game nights, all of that was structured around what I grew up with in a youth group and how valuable it was. And it's so cool to hear that you've had a similar experience.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say I've structured how I've like gathered friends and stuff like you have. It's more like I've taken some stuff from it for sure. How they view things, how they inspired others, not just spiritually, but in life. I miss hanging. I'm talking about it, but I miss hanging out with some of those people.
I'm sure.
Oh gosh.
Different
they were
times.
Good people. All of them were.
Do you find that people
crazy.
who are religious tend to be better friends and better people, or have you seen no connection between that whatsoever?
I haven't seen much connection. It also just like depends on where they went, like how they were taught. Because once again, you can have good apples and bad apples. Some people might be teaching the wrong thing and might be teaching more Bible thumpers. I mean, now that I think about it, a few of my friends are religious. They're not heavily religious, but they are religious. And, I mean, I have a lot of respect for them. I really do.
I've come to
and
find
it's one of those things, too.
Mm-hmm. I've come to find that, like, the people in my life who do not have a version of God. Now, I'm not saying you got to be Christian. They do not have a version of God have worse life outcomes than the people who do. The people who have some level of God in their life, some relationship with some higher power, have better life outcomes, whether that's higher graduate degrees, better pay, better relationships, families, like across the board, they are living better, more successful lives. And I gotta think there's something to that.
Mm-hmm. It's what I was gonna bring up is that I've been thinking about a lot of because my partner, I want to live with him, I want to be with him for the rest of my life. And I've always thought, like, how are we gonna raise our kids? Do we want them to be super religious? Are we going to push them? Like, I've had a bunch of these questions in my mind. Even though I'm not with it in church all the time myself, I wouldn't mind introducing. I want them to get their own opinion.
Yeah.
Get their own experience. My baby sister, she goes to church all the time. She has turned her life around because of her church. She's met the love of her life, who she's now married to, which still blows my mind. She met a lot of really good people through there, and again, some bad, but she has changed to a totally different person when I used to live with my family and she was a little brat. But she's turned around for the good for sure.
That's so cool to hear. If I may ask, what is your relationship like with God? Like, do you pray at all? Is there a conversation? What does that look like?
No, I don't do anything. It might be my headstrongness or something like that. I've always been taught if you want to get something done, you do it yourself. You figure it out yourself. And I know that's a really bad mindset sometimes, and I'm still struggling with it. Because coming out of high school, I worked 2-3 jobs, and I went to college. I didn't want my parents' help at all. And it tore me apart when I had to actually ask for help. But again, it was one of those things where I need to do it. I don't know. It can be good, it can be bad. I appreciate the prayers that me and my partner got when he was in the hospital from his family. But it's such a weird take. I'm not hating on anybody. It's just I want to get things done myself.
And I think there's certainly value to putting your bootstraps on, going out and earning your own keep. I think a lot of people who are religious will use things like prayer as a crutch to sit back and ask for God to give them the things that they aren't willing to put in the work for. So I think that right there is just as much a pitfall as anything else. But when it comes to like the relationship side, well, if that's the relationship side, is there a ritual side? Do you have rituals you participate in that bring you closer to your spirituality?
I used to. My whole thing was going out on walks and like going out in nature, being one with the earth. Now I haven't had a chance to do that in a long time, and I'm trying so hard to get back out there. But it's just one of those things when we come. It's weird. I think it's not that we come from we come from Earth, but everything we need comes from Earth, like comes from the planet. And so going out there and like that's another reason why I'm wanting to be a wildlife major, is we get so much resources from this beautiful planet, and unfortunately humanity can be nasty and it's turning it to shreds, and it's making it a nasty place. So I mean, it's not necessarily a ritual. It's just I go out and spend time with the earth. I spend time outside. I touch grass.
Wait, what's that? What is this grass you speak of? Is some weird like biology term?
Well, like another thing too, I wanted to do more stuff with candles, kind of like cleansing the area and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I can't anymore. My partner's allergic to candles. My partner's also not. He doesn't like some of the things that I am into. Some of the spiritual. I'm trying to think. You know how last time we talked about ghosts and other stuff?
Yeah.
He doesn't want anything to do with it.
Does he not believe in it, or does he not want to invoke anything he might be afraid of?
He doesn't want to invoke anything, which I respect that, and so that's why I haven't messed with any of that stuff. It's piqued my interest, and it's something I would like to know more of, but out of respect for him, I try not to touch any of that stuff. But I haven't had a chance to do anything that I've been wanting to do for a while.
Okay, can I open up a can of worms that's going to be pretty crazy?
Sure.
Do you believe in demons at all? Do you think they exist? Okay, I have some stories for you. Grew up in the church, grew up Christian, you know. As a kid, like that stuff's far more real to you, right? Because imaginations, you don't really know how the world works, all that jazz. There were moments in my childhood where I really thought I was experiencing a demonic presence of one kind or another, right? Especially the church are going to tell you like, hey, these things are real. You got to be aware of them. One of the hallmark moments for me was when I was in high school. I was literally in Mexico building a house for a family. Like we were like making a house for them for free. It was this giant missions trip, this missionary work we were doing. While we were there one night, I was sleeping in Mexico, like in a tent in the middle of like this like giant valley. I'm there 1 a.m. talking to one of my homies, right? And we're having deep talks as one does. And we had been doing this for 45 minutes, pacing back and forth over this small little stretch of land. Didn't think too much of it. And then at one point, middle of this conversation, I see what I can only describe as a demonic presence walk out from behind a small mound of like dirt, take 4 or 5 deliberate steps, stop, and then look at me. The moment it stopped, I felt a blood-curdling chill, hairs on the back of my neck standing up, fear running through me. The next words out of my homie's mouth are like, I don't know if I believe in God anymore. Like, the next words he says, right?
Oh, wow.
So I instantly, like, start freaking out. Story's not over yet. Less than 5 minutes later, the hillside across from us has a small village which erupts into flames. Like, that whole hillside catches fire, and you get to see house after house burn down. It was one of the most unforgettable moments of my life, and I'm not saying demons are necessarily real. I'm only reporting what happened to me. You don't have to believe me. That's an old story. That was in the past. Here's where I'm getting at. You ready for the new stuff? I walk away from God, don't really have a relationship with him for like 7 years, 8 years, something like that. One of those situations, hey God, if you ain't going to provide for me, I'm going to go get it myself, pull myself up by my own bootstraps and get the life I want to live. Go off on my own, not talking to him, not living with him, whatever. Don't feel a demonic presence for 7, 8 years. I'm thinking to myself, oh, I outgrew it. I was a dumb little kid back then, you know, I was seeing things and, you know, kids are going to make believe things. I am older now. I'm more mature now. I'm not going to sense any of these presences anymore. Over this last year, I've been finding myself getting closer to God again, whatever that means, finding myself spiritually. This last June, I felt a demonic presence like I had not felt in years. It shocked me. It surprised me. It's not something you like stand there and see necessarily. It's like one of those, like if you're looking off, you can almost see an apparition out of the corner of your eye, and it's more presence than it is sight. It's more of a sensation you feel of an overwhelming dread and anxiety that starts to eat at you in a way that doesn't make clear, coherent sense. Like there's no reason for it to be there. It just spikes up immediately. I had felt that years later that I hadn't felt for years. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, whatever. And I didn't think too much of it. I was like, oh, whatever. It's just a weird thing. The next week, I get in the worst car accident of my life.
I was wondering if it was around the same timeline. Holy cow.
Drunk driver hits me going 45 miles an hour, puts me in the hospital. Like, it was one of the worst experiences I have ever had in my entire life. I walk away from that moment thinking, oh, it's a coincidence, whatever, you know, like that just didn't happen. Or that was a weird moment. I'm dismissing the whole thing. Demons aren't real. A couple months later, I think it's like November, December now, I feel another presence. Not the same presence, but the same kind of presence in my house. And what I do since that last moment, I was like, okay, well, I have sage. I know there's an old Native American ritual that if you feel evil spirits, you sage your house. It's supposed to clear, cleanse, and purify all that jazz. I think there's duty in the ritual, and if you do it, it'll stand true. Another demon comes up. I feel its presence. It's like late at night. I'm like going to bed and I was like, you know what? I'll do it tomorrow. It'll be fine. I don't need to worry about it. The next day, my girl gets in a car accident. The next day. I'm not kidding. I felt 2 demonic presences and each time it was a car accident. Fast forward another month, I feel the third one. This one, immediately. I go home. I light the candle. I'm incensing the whole house. I'm saging the whole house. I'm touching it to both vehicles. Nothing bad happens. 2 days ago, 2 days ago, I feel the most disgusting looking like demonic presence. Like, I don't even know how you describe it. The least human thing I could have felt, I felt. And immediately saged. Immediately went, okay, I'm not taking it. These things are 100% serious. I don't know what they are. I don't know how to explain them. It could be absolutely hooey, but I think it's connected to something. I sage the house. I wake up that next day and I feel my winter depression like go up an order of magnitude. Like overnight, for whatever reason, I just feel my anxiety and dread that normally pops up every year get higher than it has been this year. This year I've been kicking ass and taking names. This has been my best year yet. But the night I saw Demon 4 was the night that spiked up for no apparent reason. And I'm at the point where like, I'm really thinking there might be something to this shit. Like, I think to some degree, everybody's psychic, and maybe some people are a little bit more psychic than others. But the fact that I went 7 years without having a single experience, start getting closer to God, and now I've had 4 in the last 6 months, I don't know what I believe anymore, Scarlet Raven. I don't know what I believe.
You're making me question things, cause my last couple months haven't been the greatest either.
Whoa!
But I haven't had any felt any experiences. Don't get me wrong. I've had my downs where I felt the nastiest I've ever felt, where I just don't want to talk to anybody. Like I said, I talked about wanting to close down PMA. I said once, but I thought about it several times. In October, my partner, his car gets hit and run. He didn't get hurt, it was down the parking lot. Very next day, I get into an accident. Again, it was minor. Everyone walked away, and it wasn't good. And then that next month, me and my father, we had a little spat. There was some we weren't seeing things eye to eye. We had a disagreement. We were just not good, not a good relationship. And like I brought up again, like I got a nasty cold, which I mean, it's cold, but like my partner, hospital, like crazy. Oh, then I gotta think back even further. My mom was in the hospital in July.
Oh my gosh.
I may have to just buy some sage and say something else.
I would 100% would. I would totally recommend it. You can get it on Amazon. The Native Americans did it. I think they were onto something.
Oh no, I know exactly what you're supposed to do. It's sage, and you get an eagle feather, and then I mean that's truly Native American stuff. In a shell. Oh, but now that in my mind, I think it's just been a speck of bad luck. I mean, plus we had TikTok and all that shindig, the PMA community having to deal with all their negativity. Poor Shelby and his stuff. There's just been a lot of bad, like since I want to say June, July.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Like I think these things are going to happen anyways, but I think there's so much that happens in the realm of existence that we don't know about, that the room is totally open, that there are spiritual creatures that interplay with all of this stuff happening. Like when a lot of bad things happen, it wouldn't be far be it from my understanding that demons accompany it. In one way, shape, or form or another, maybe it's just figments that human beings are barely able to sense and grasp at. But whatever it is, I think they're heavily intertwined, and I really feel like our society as a whole, America as a whole, is going through the thick of it right now.
I think we've been going through the thick of it for the last few years. I mean, I say that I'm not into stuff spiritually, but I do believe in demons, I do believe in ghosts and angels and all that stuff. So of course, I have to believe in God and Jesus and all that other stuff. But then again, I don't practice any of it, so it's religiously, spiritually with me, I'm all over the place.
No.
It takes a little bit, this makes sense to me. Unfortunately, demons make sense, bad spirits make sense. God, now, I really now think that there's like something negative attached to me and my partner or something then. Holy cow.
Do you have any rituals to ward off bad spirits?
I know of some. I mean, the sage is one of them, horseshoe over the doorway, salts in the windows. I mean, which are, from what I remember correctly, and this is also my old roommate, she was studying Wicca. She was more heavily into it than I was. But you salt to help seal, you do salt around doorways and windows to seal. And then if I remember correctly, you start from the back of the house, and then you push your way to the front of the house when you're saging to push it out, and then you seal it. Then I've also seen it where you sage the property, and you go to all 4 corners of the property. Saging a person, I knew some of those. Dude, I may have to get some holy water.
Yeah, I would recommend it. I think that sage has really been helping us. I take that stuff seriously now. Since that car accident, I take that stuff seriously. Like, the fact that I didn't have that for years, Scarlet Raven, years. I have it, and then the next week is the worst car accident of my life. Like, I don't have words to describe it. People can look at that and say, oh, that you have no evidence. You're right. I don't. I'm not here to try to convince you of anything. I'm merely telling you my experience. And it has been absolutely batshit crazy.
I might have brought it up last time. I don't quite remember. No, I haven't had anything where I've seen something like a demonic presence or anything, but I've had gut-dropping feelings. Now, I haven't had them for years. But back when I was living with my roommate in my hometown, I would get them a bunch, and normally it was connected to her. First time I had it, I found out the next day. Like we were in the living room. I was playing games. I was playing Uncharted on the TV, nice. And she was on the couch on her phone or reading. I don't remember what, but I just had this gut dropping feeling. I shouldn't feel this at all. It was like I was just dropped out of the sky. I thought like my stomach was in my throat.
Whoa.
And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this is a wave of anxiety because I've never felt true anxiety before. So I was like, I don't know what I'm feeling. And then I talked to my roommate the next day. She was like, yeah, I just went through a really, really bad breakup and they cheated. Whoa. Also, we may have to get tested for COVID. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
What? And I didn't think anything of it. And then it happened again. This time I was working at Chick-fil-A at the time. I just got to my shift at 2 o'clock. Prepping everybody, getting ready for the evening shift. And again, gut-dropping feeling. I was getting sauces. That's what I was doing. I was going to dry storage, getting sauces and bringing them up front. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I get a phone call from my roommate. Hey, I fell. I'm going to the hospital.
Oh my God.
Her knee gave out. So I think people are sensitive to different types of things. What I have determined is that with the people that I'm close to, if something bad happens to them, that's when I feel that like gut drop. I haven't felt it for years, maybe because I haven't gotten that close with friends anymore, besides my partner. And then you're very hypersensitive with demonic presence or evil spirits. So everyone's sensitive to something.
I would encourage you to like pay attention to that. Like you can't really control it. It's not like it's something you like control at any given moment, but it's something that like comes on you and you feel it. Like I would be trying to like be aware of that. Like whenever that starts to come up, I would be hypersensitive to it if I were you. I think that stuff, I'm starting to believe that stuff is super real, which is crazy. I never thought I would be saying that, but I'm starting to believe it's super real these days.
For sure. God, now I'm gonna have to pay attention to like, when was I super duper depressed? What happened? Oh, that's crazy.
Like, do you have any
So, I mean,
like
I
prophetic
felt-
dreams or anything like that?
No, I don't have dreams, period.
Really?
No, I have a very vivid imagination, so I know I imagine stuff right before I go to sleep, and then after that, nothing. But then again, I also know that I might have dreams. I just don't remember them because my partner was like, hey, you were talking in your sleep last night or stuff like that. Or you're moving around like you were dreaming, so they may be happening and I just don't remember them. But if that's the case, that's been happening all my life. I've never remembered my dreams.
That's bizarre. Everyone has to dream. I think if you don't dream, you're dead. Something like that. Like the fact that you don't remember any of your dreams is kind of bizarre because most people would at least remember some.
No. Normally, I remember what I was thinking about before I fall asleep the next day. And it could be anything.
Do you
But
ever
I don't remember any of my dreams.
do you ever talk to your subconscious at all? Are you able to like commune with it in any way?
I mean, can hear myself talk in my head, if that's what you're asking. But I don't talk to my head. Or talk to the voice in my head, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, kinda. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So like, there's this belief in Christianity that like you have the Holy Spirit inside of you and he like embodies you. And I 1000% believe that that is the subconscious. I think the subconscious is the part of you that is always aiming to your good. It's always trying to do the right thing for you. And in some sense, that feels like God to me. And the subconscious has many different ways of communicating, although it's not normal communication like you and I would do with each other. It like does it in its own ways. And one of those ways I think is dreaming. So the fact that you don't dream would make me question whether or not your subconscious is like communicating with you in a different way.
I mean, I've had intrusive thoughts, or I've had like thoughts where like I sit there and I question it. I don't know, the subconscious is a very tricky thing.
Yeah. But nothing really comes to mind. Interesting. Do you do any type of like meditation or anything like that?
No.
Ooh. Would you be interested?
Yeah, I mean, I attempted it back when in my community college. I did yoga, and that was one of the things we did was meditation.
Nice.
At the end of every session, that's where I fell asleep.
Oh my gosh.
I would get so relaxed, I would fall asleep.
Dang. So yeah,
God, now
well,
you're making me sound like I'm a weirdo.
well I think meditating makes you weird, honestly. But I think it's a weird thing that everyone should do. I mean, we live these busy, crazy lives. We always got 1,000 different stressors. Our phone is there to make us as stressful as possible. Like meditation's a way for me just to like put everything down, empty my mind, and get a moment's rest. I think it's really good for people.
I mean, then again, my mind is always going. I don't know when it's calm or slowing down.
Do you have one of those
when it does,
ADHD
it
minds that just
freaks me
doesn't
out.
stop?
Yes, probably. I'm undiagnosed if that's the case, but I would not be surprised if I had ADHD. I have a bunch of tabs open, and when that one tab, like when I'm done thinking about one thing or I solve this one problem, on to the next tab. Always got a bunch of things going on. Like even in our discussion right now, I'm thinking of community events for PMA on what I'm thinking of. I need to check my college stuff to see if my professor posted lectures so I can get ahead of the class. I got crap ton of things in my mind always. What am I gonna have for dinner?
Oh my gosh.
I don't. It's not quiet.
I'm going to tell you this.
I would not be surprised if I had ADHD.
Society is going to tell you that that's a disability. I'm going to tell you right now that's a superpower. That right there is a superpower. The fact that you could be operating on all of those different fields like simultaneously, that right there is going to equip you to be better than 99% of the world.
It's a superpower, and then it's not, because then you can have too many tabs open, and then you forget one. And
Yeah,
then you're like,
that's the problem. Yep. It's a good servant, bad master. If you let it run wild, it will run you into the ground. That is for sure.
Yeah. That's why I have a calendar, and I have a calendar on my phone.
You see,
Helps
that's why
date all my stuff.
That's why I have a fiance. She takes care of all that for me. I am way too scatterbrained. I am way too much of a mess. I cannot keep structure or order. But she absolutely fills in my schedule. She keeps me on track and on pace so that I can go out there and do way more than I would be able to do on my own.
Well, I don't know if that's the same relationship with me and my partner, because I keep him in line for sure. Or I keep asking him questions about certain things. Yeah, no, I keep him in track, because there was, like, we were trying to figure out a car situation. He got an Audi. He had an Audi when I first met him. Ran into some car problems. This happened like 2 years ago, and he gave it to a friend of his to get it all fixed up and stuff. And I'm like, dude, you need to get check up on that car. It's like, we need to figure out what's going on with this car, because this dude was MIA for ever. And I was like, okay, cool. When we go to your state, when we go to Washington, we're gonna go see that car. We're gonna put eyes on that car. And he's like, well, what happens if it's still damaged and it's not running? And I was like, then we'll determine how to handle it from there. And I felt so bad, because I probably sounded like a hard ass. Because this person is his friend. This person got him his job at AutoZone and stuff like that. And I was like, I need to put the boots on and be like, make sure we get this done. Because I didn't want him to get pushed around anymore. And I was like, we are leaving with the keys and the title or the money for that vehicle. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But it's like, I will tell him right then and there that we are not leaving until we get like the keys and the title to that vehicle. Because you paid for it. You spent thousands of dollars on this vehicle already. I didn't have to bring it up. He's like, here's the keys. Here's the title. I was like, cool. I didn't have to be hard ass. But I know it upsetted my partner quite a bit.
That's something I wanted to talk to you about. You know, I want to do this thing with my friends, the relationship thrival guide. And I think you've got one of the best relationships I've seen on here in the VRChat space. It's like you and your boy are together. You've been together so long. Like, what are some of the things that you guys do for each other that you think other relationships should emulate?
I mean, my always biggest thing is communicating how you feel. I'm probably actually going to have a conversation with my partner today after how I felt with something that happened last night. Oh gosh, the little things too. Like the little things. It's so hard to figure this out, because this is my day-to-day life that I do. Always understanding. We put each other in our place when we need to be, and I don't get mad at him for it. He puts me in my place a lot. And I do the same thing for him. With his surgery that he had, he really wanted to go out and do other things, and I'm like, no, we're not. Oh, I want to go back to work already. No, you're not. You're still recovering. You can't lift more than 10 pounds. No. And I know it frustrates him a lot, because he's like, I don't know what to do. But I walk him through it, I talk him through it, and like we talk. I'm trying to think of like some other stuff.
So here's a question. Are you guys like disagreeable? Like you guys need to butt heads and argue things out? Or are you the type of people who don't like arguments and try to handle everything before it blows up?
We try to handle everything before it blows up. Don't get me wrong, we're all human. Sometimes it bottles up, or we completely forget about it. My parents argued. I've listened to my parents argue. I've listened to my grandparents argue. I don't want to argue. I want to speak to him calmly as possible. I want to be open-minded. I want to understand where he's coming from. I want him to understand where I'm coming from. I know for a fact we're going to have our disagreements on certain things. I mean, I will try my damnness to try to change his mind, but it's okay if he doesn't. God, being really, really open-minded. Because there are some people that he used to hang out with that I don't like, and there's some people that I hang around with that I like, that he doesn't like. I don't know.
So it sounds like you two try to avoid arguments. What are the steps you take before it explodes to an argument that you like need to get through before you get there? Like, what are your checks?
So an argument, something, I'll just throw an example. He did something that I didn't like, and I'm upset with it. I kind of like take a day or so to myself where I think about it and bring it up to him when I can, when he's in a good mood, when I'm in a good mood, and to express how I felt. And hopefully he receives it the way I would like for him to receive it. And then, I mean, of course, he's going to give feedback on the said topic or whatever. But I always... God, it's such a weird one. Because we've never had an issue where things blew up.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We've been together for 3 years, and we haven't had anything blown up. I don't know if that's healthy. And we've had plenty of disagreements, but nothing's, like, blown up where I've walked out of the house or he's walked out of the house or talked to me all day. It's never reached to that point.
I think that's a testament to a good relationship. I think some people are disagreeable. I think some people need to have those big blow up arguments if they're going to like live with anybody. But I think there's a lot of people out there who would like want to avoid it. And I'm one of them. I'm one of the people who cherishes the fact that like I don't have big fights with my fiance. We're not arguing at each other. And like what'll happen with us is like first off, I know deep down in my heart, she is never going to do anything to intentionally hurt me. She does not want to hurt me. That's the last thing she wants to do. That's the last thing I want to do to her. And if you have that foundation with your partner, everything else just becomes miscommunication. She does something that she doesn't realize is making me feel away. I'm doing something that I don't realize is making her feel away. So she is 100% open to express to me her feelings and how things are being received. And I'm 100% open to not necessarily changing my ways, but communicating myself in a way that says that, hey, I'm not here to hurt you. Those negative emotions you're feeling, I don't want you to feel that. And I'm going to do what I can to make you not feel that way. And that's essentially the heart of every conversation, every disagreement we have. It's like we know there's no malicious intent, so we can approach the situation as though it's us versus the problem rather than us versus each other.
The way I think on some of this stuff with my past relationships, you want to be able to find someone that you want to adapt for. You're going to be changing no matter what. It can be good, it could be bad, but you want to be able to adapt to each other. I have stopped doing things that like I was able to do beforehand because I want to adapt for him. He's done the same thing for me. You're two entities, and when you're in a relationship and you're wanting it to make it work, you are one entity, technically. So it's not him or I, it is us. I want it to be an us decision. That's why he's also like a really big part of my admin team.
Hey.
Funny enough. I can't function without him. I need his input.
What are things that he does for you that you just cannot do for yourself, and things that you do for him that he just cannot do for himself? Good example for me, I can't keep a schedule to save my life, Scarlet Raven. Scarlet Raven, to save my life, I cannot keep to a schedule. My girl is 1000% organized. All she is a schedule. And like she keeps me like doing things and being productive in a way I could never be on my own. You got anything like that?
Financial, like finances?
Yeah.
Over my head, don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm back.
Finances is one of the things I don't understand whatsoever. He understands that completely. He just recently got a credit card, and I'm over here like, what? I can't grasp that. His leadership is like one of those things too, being able to witness him because he's a store manager. Seeing his leadership. I mean, I keep him fed.
That's important. As a guy, that's super important. You got to keep your man fed.
I make sure his like workspace is tidy. Now sometimes I clean it up when I get to a point I'm done cleaning up your stuff, you clean it up. I'm up his butt about it, but like I think that's a good thing, keeping his space tidy.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what else I do for him. Oh, another thing he does for me is automotive stuff. Over my head, don't understand. Unfortunately, my father he didn't teach me anything automotive. I had to have my neighbor at 22 teach me how to change my tire.
Oh my gosh. Seriously? You live in Texas. I thought that was part of the curriculum down there. I thought you'd be a middle schooler being taught that in class.
There actually was a class for that. I didn't take it because I was in the smart class. I took Lego robotics instead.
That does sound way better.
Yeah, no, there was a class that teach you every Friday how to take care of your vehicle. Instead, I took Lego robotics. And I went to state in Lego robotics. So.
Oh, hell yeah. So you don't need to know how to change a car. You can outsource that.
Yeah, I know who to find to change my tire for me.
Yeah, there you go. But that is super cool as far as like the way you're able to complete each other. Did you answer his side of that? Like, what does he do for you? You were saying numbers, you were saying car.
Yeah, numbers, cars. He helps me a lot emotionally too. Oh God, my body's
your turn.
Freaking out too. He helps me out like a lot emotionally. I can, being the oldest in the family, I've always been taught like you got to do things on your own. You need to work. You need to like go. He's taught me how to slow down. He's taught me it's okay not to do things on your own. Like right now, I don't have a job. Haven't had a job since July, and he's taught me that it's okay not to have a job right now. And he's like, okay, this is giving you a moment to focus on your school because you're getting close to graduating. And like I'm so used to working and going to school, and it's crazy to me. I don't have a lot of free time, despite not having a job. I still don't have a lot of free time. My classes take up most of that time. Like I'm gonna go birding tomorrow morning before I go see my mom. Yeah, he's taught me how to slow down. He's taught me how to stand up for myself in some things. And it's hilarious, because I may be the I'm always positive, because that's always my stuff. He's not. He listens to really depressing music.
Oh my gosh.
And so, I've seen some of my, like, vibes or my energy goes to him sometimes. He's always in a good mood. he's felt better about himself. I know, God, he's accepted who he is more now that I think about it, like his body wise. He's always been ashamed of it when I first started talking to him, but he loves his body, or I think he loves his body. He's accepted it more. I'm about to start crying again.
Aww.
Because I'm thinking about like the deep stuff we do for each other.
Yeah. One thing that I find is so valuable is that I have a partner who builds me. Like, not in just some small way. Like, she is in it to have me be the best version of myself I could be. And when you have a partner who's actively fighting for you, that means the world. If I had a partner who would like shut me down whenever I do my crazy thing, hey babe, I'm gonna go be a cat boy on the internet doing podcasts. And if I were to tell her that and she's like, nah, I'm not about it, like that would be soul crushing for me. But whatever weird antic thing that like Theo's got his mind on, she does what she can to support me in it. And that has made me feel confident and empowered. And I don't know where I would be if I had a girl who wasn't like building my confidence along the way, you know?
I was like, he does the same thing for me. My partner does the same exact thing for me. He's my number one supporter. He's always one of those like first few people to like a video that I've done. He's given me ideas. Thanks to him, I have a PC.
Hey.
But it wasn't just him. Some friends of mine, my brother, they all came together and bought me a PC. But he's been my number one supporter. He's helped me figure out what I needed for tracking wise and other stuff like that.
Nice.
He's given me the tools that I need to be able to do stuff on my own.
Do you two have a vocabulary with each other? So one thing I've found so valuable is like to come up with very specific words that me and my girl use together. Like here's an example. One that we are now using all the time is off kilter. So like kilter is like when you're like ready to like compete in a sport or like go into some type of competition and everything is going your way. You're in a great mood, you're feeling great, you're at 100%, you're on kilter. When you're off kilter, there could be any number of things that make you feel off that day. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep, you're not fed, that's particularly me, especially when I get hangry. Like there's 1,000 different things that can get you off kilter. And one thing to do is like whenever you recognize that in yourself, I'll go up to my girl and be like, hey babe, I haven't eaten today, I'm off kilter right now. And she knows just by that vocabulary that now is not the time to talk to me about anything important. If she has anything important to say, now is not the time. You need to get some food in this man as soon as possible. And so like one thing we use as a vocabulary term is off kilter. I'm wondering if you and your boy do anything like that.
There probably is some vocabulary me and him use all the time, but we mainly go off of body language, funny enough.
Oh, tell me about it.
We're both very observant people, so he knows when I'm upset. I guess I make a face or something. He knows when I'm upset. I know when he's upset. I can just feel it. Or I know when he's like in a really, really good mood. That's when I get to go over there and pick on him. Or if he's just feeling really down and homesick. It's just some of the body language, I pick that up more than anything. I'm trying to think if we have any terms. I mean, I have a word that I use all the time with him, but I've also used it with other people, which, Shark Week.
What? Oh, you have to explain that one. What does that mean, Scarlet Raven?
It's when I'm on my period.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
No, I gotta tell you the stuff on it.
Oh my god.
I got this off the internet. The shark brain looks similar to a uterus.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
So Shark Week.
So it's when you're on Shark Week?
Yes, I'm on. Yeah. What's even bad is that I don't even use that term anymore because he knows when I'm about to start.
Oh, he can just tell?
Yes! It's so frustrating.
He's like, oh my god, there's blood in the water.
You know, he picks up how I'm acting, and he's like, oh, it's getting close. That's that time. And I'm like, no, you're lying. Checks my own calendar. Damn it.
That's one thing I love about my girl, and it sounds like you're the exact same way. It's like you're honest with him enough to be able to acknowledge, like, hey, yeah, it's that time of the month. Like, that's super cool.
Oh, that's another thing with me and my partner. So I've had many, many relationships. I am his first, like, true relationship. So he's asked me a lot of questions on a bunch of, like, relationship stuff. And I've been brutally honest with him on everything. Because there are some subjects I can't get into that he wasn't sure on. And so I didn't judge him. Like, why would I want to judge him for that? That's not his fault. So, like, a lot of understanding. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase it better.
Well, I got a question on that. I had a couple relationships when I was younger, nothing really serious. Then I got my girl and we locked it down. I was her first. And so in many ways, both of us go into the relationship like unscarred by previous exes, right? Something along that line. A question I would have for you is, now that you're in a relationship, a long-term one with somebody who this is their first, and you've had previous experience, have those previous experiences built you to a stronger person for this relationship, or did it tear you down and make you more jaded and scarred walking into this one?
I've had some nasty relationships. I've had one really, really bad one. But I took each of them as a learning opportunity. Like, this is not how I want to be treated. So I didn't look at the time, but like I wanted to look for something not that, or I don't want to act the way they did, or I don't want to be that person that was horrible to make like my ex or something. I don't want to be that towards him now. I've taken everything with a learning opportunity. I mean, there's been a few times there's a little bit of scarring, but they're old wounds, and time heals.
So looking back, you would say your previous experiences, though they took some chips out of you, have been learning experiences where you can grow from them and develop into the person who will be treated the way they want to be treated in a relationship. You weren't going to put up with the bullshit anymore. You weren't going to put up with all these negative behaviors and attitudes, so that when the right person came along, you knew exactly what you were looking for. And you would be hard pressed to say that you would have been able to identify that from the get. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. So one of my favorite things that I love thinking about, and it comes from China. Have you seen where they take a broken pot, several different pieces, and they glue it back together with gold?
I have seen that, yeah.
That's how I think of things. Like, you might have teared me down, you might have broken me back, like shattered me. I come back, glued together with gold, and I look just as beautiful, if not more beautiful, than I was before.
Wow.
Kind of thing.
I love that. Is there anything you could point to that your previous relationships taught you that you were looking for in this one?
There was one. I felt like I did everything for this guy. I took him to his job. I took him to his appointments. This poor man, he had Crohn's disease. And if you don't know what that is, it's his stomach did not agree with him. His digestive system did not agree with certain things. So he had a very sensitive stomach. And his stomach would be inflamed most of the times. If I remember correctly, he did end up having surgery to shrink it. But I gave my all for this dude. I did everything, and I gave him a bone here and there, and be like, can you do this for me? Can you attend to this event that's really, really important to me? And so I was giving maybe 90%. He wasn't even giving me 20. And so I take that, and I'm like, I want a relationship that could be 50-50 if possible, or 60-40, or 40-60. I don't want to do all the work, and I don't want them to do all the work.
I have something to like tag on to that too. It's like, so often in relationships, do we go misguided on what are really the things that contribute to giving somebody 100%? And by that, I mean this, like, let's say my girl does something good for me. I have to shower her with 1000% positive reinforcement. If she truly does something that makes me feel the cat's meow meow in the heart, like, I have to let her know that right there was an absolute banger. And so I think what happens in relationships far too often is, like, your partner will do something you really like, and then they're not reinforced enough to do that again. So, like, they might hit the home run and it's like, that is how you make me happy, thank you. But they're not positively reinforced in that way. And, like, one thing I have absolutely gone to life and limb for is every time she does something that makes me feel fantastic and great, I want her to know, this is how you make me feel good. That was a good one. Do that again next time I'm feeling bad. Like, I want to, like, hit that point home for her. And she's of the humility to hear that and then reciprocate it back to me. Because, you know, she might be going through a hard time, having a rough day, and I want to lift her up. There are 10 ways I could do it. There's 2 ways which will sing to her far greater than any of the other 8. And if she could just lock in and let me know what those 2 things are, I'm far more equipped to, like, be there for her next time she's feeling down. And I feel like there's not enough relationships who are really aiming at that positive reinforcement, especially when they got something good done to them.
Although, like, small acts of kindness is another thing. Like, my partner, he loves chocolate milk. He loves hot chocolate.
Ooh.
Every so often, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go visit him at his work and give him hot chocolate.
Aww.
Or I go and I bring food to him. And, like, visit him at his job. And every so often, he gets me Oreos because I freaking love Oreos.
Nice.
Or gets me some kind of, like, treat. I'm not really big on, like, big gifts. I don't like big gifts. But if someone goes out and, like, does their own thing and just, if he thinks of me and brings me something back, that's more meaningful to me.
Wow.
Or, like, hey, or he's done it before where he went out to go get something in the store and then he saw some flowers and he thought of me and he brought them home. and stuff like that. Small acts like that.
So it's more acts of kindness than it is gift giving. Like, you don't really need, like, I mean, you'd probably take concert tickets. Who wouldn't take concert tickets? But, like, the small things really add up for you.
The small things, and then spending quality time. This spending time with his family, it was a vacation he needed, and we had so much fun together. Even though we were with his family, we had so much fun together. I went to hockey games with him, and I had such a blast. And now we've turned this thing where we want to watch hockey more, like back at home. We got hockey jerseys. We got cowbells that you're supposed to ring in hockey games. Oh my gosh. That was fun. That was so much fun for me. We went up to the mountains in Washington, and we had a snowball fight.
Yes.
Oh, I love that stuff. And another thing too is seeing him happy makes me happy.
Aw, tell me about it.
I mean, it's just with anything. Oh God, seeing him cry makes me cry too. It's that empath thing where I want to make him happy all the time, which is why I try to make sure since I don't have a job, I make sure I try to do chores around the house.
Nice.
Now, I know when I'm working and stuff like that, it's normally 50-50. But I try to do small acts of kindness for him. Bringing him food, bringing him sweets. Anytime I go to the store, I get his favorite chocolate milk. And stuff like that.
So what are your love languages? What are his love languages? So I could say for my girl, hers are words of affirmation and acts of kindness. So, like, she loves poems. When I write her a poem, that's her sweet spot, because that is words of affirmation and an act of kindness kind of wrapped in one. So, like, that right there is money for her. What would you say are, like his and yours?
His is more physical. Holding hands. I play with his hair all the time. Or I give him back rubs all the time. Like, he loves cuddling.
Nice.
His is physical, and definitely words of affirmation. For me, it's small act of kindness. I would say physical, but there are times where I'm like, please don't touch me right now. I'm not in the mood. I'm trying to think of what else. Words of affirmation for sure. Quality time. That's my biggest thing is quality time together.
Me too.
Even if we're both on the phone on our own phones in the living room. It's so cute. I love it so much. We're on the couch. I'm watching my TikToks. He's watching his TikToks, and he turns around and I love red pandas. Anytime a red panda comes across his TikTok, he comes and shows it to me. Or anytime I find something funny that I think he might like, I show it to him. And, we're in the same room together. Or I get tired of my For You page, and so I, lay on him, and we would watch TikToks off of his phone.
Nice.
And stuff like that. Oh, and then Legos. We build Legos together. That's one of my favorite dates.
That's
with
so
him, is
cool.
we put
That's
on,
so cool.
We put on some movie, and I'm trying to set up a date where I need to buy him first. I need to buy Lord of the Rings, and then buy some more Lego pieces, and then we're gonna build Legos while we're watching Lord of the Rings. I love doing that.
That is like every guy's dream.
We did it with Star Wars.
That's like every guy's dream right there. Scarlet Raven, you could have any man you want just by saying that alone. Hey, let's watch Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and build Legos together. You just got 85% of the male population on board.
Because it's fun for me too. I love it because I'm so hyper focused on putting my stuff together, and then we turn it into a mini competition to see who can build their items first. I always buy him the stuff that's more.
Nice.
But he has his Star Wars Legos, and then I got my Harry Potter Legos. We're both nerding out.
That is super awesome, Scarlet Raven. I just want to say it was great sitting here having this conversation with you. I've got a soft out right about now, though. I got to get out of here. But I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Where can people find you in case they're looking?
In case TikTok is no longer with us, I'm also on YouTube, on Instagram. I started a Blue Sky, which is like Twitter, and that's it. And yeah, of course I'm on TikTok, but in case that goes down, I'm on other platforms. All the same name, Scarlet Raven _VR.
Go find her, everybody.
And I'm on Twitch.
Oh, you're on Twitch now, too.
I'm on Twitch.
Yo, I'll probably try to get the handles here somewhere on the screen or something. Scarlet Raven, I just want to say thank you for being a friend of the show. Thank you for being a good personal friend of mine. I want to say out of all the people I've ran into across this VR chat space, you are one of the truest, most genuine, most beautiful characters I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. I wish you nothing but blessings and good tidings on your way. And I just want to say thank you so much all these years for being such a good friend.
Thank you. So when are we doing Odyssey Game Nights again?
Oh, we got to talk about it. All right. So I guess we're on a podcast though. Missy is back and she's like, hey, I want to help out with this. And then Curly wanted to do it too. And now you want to do it too. And Thug Out was always a sell. So we should do it soon. I'm thinking sometime this summer. Oh my gosh, Theo's Game Nights. Could you imagine it? Yes. Could you imagine? I'm so excited. That's
awesome. I had to bring that up at the end. I was like,
Yes, absolutely. ADD in me is gonna keep this in for the podcast. But yeah, Thea's game nights. Woo!